It all began when I was in primary school, which is also known as elementary school. I met a young man who was very, very full of joy, and I desired to have what he had. And I later found out that he was a Christian. His name was Caleb Coker. And I followed him down to church to see why he was happy, why he was joyous. And right there in church, I saw that everyone there are Christians and they are full of joy. And I gave my life to Jesus Christ. And a few days after I gave my life to Jesus Christ, Jesus appeared to me in a dream. And he called me by my name. He said, "Son, I have called you to be an evangelist. I am going to take you around through the whole nation to preach the gospel." Then after that, the whole vision disappeared. And I continued until I went to high school. When I graduated my high school in 1993, I went to Bible college. And after that, I graduated after a year plus. I graduated at the end of 1994. And I came back to my hometown called Abo, Delta State, Nigeria. And I helped a pastor to pastor a church as his personal assistant. But I was not paid. There was no money given to me. So I thought, I cannot live like this. I cannot build my home like this. I cannot build family by not having income. So what I did was to go and learn how to sell spare parts, Yamaha, Suzuki, motorbike spare parts. After 6 months of doing that, I graduated, and my mom was able to help me to start a spare parts business. Then it was about this time in 1995 that Jesus appeared to me again and said to me, "I want you to go to India. And in India, I want you to proclaim my word and preach the gospel." How do I do this? I don't have much experience. I have not been out of the country. Less than 1 year later, after I started my business, Yamaha Suzuki spare parts business, I lost everything. I could not explain why I lost this business. But my business disappeared because I refused to obey the voice to go to India. So in 1997, I moved to Lagos, where I was assisting another church as an assistant pastor. By this time, they were paying me 2,000 naira. 2,000 naira in those days is like $14 a month. So I did not have money to go to India. And one day, somebody connected me to a guy from a Baptist church. We went to Prayer Mountains. We went to pray. From there, I told him all my dreams and vision to go to India. And he said he knows people that can help me. He introduced me to two brothers. One of them is from Deeper Life Church, and one of them is from Methodist Church. And these brothers asked me to give them time so that they would pray about it. And they prayed about it. After that, a few days later, I came back to see them, and they told me that God had told them to help me to go to India. So they provided me money for the visa, they provided me money for my flight ticket, and after all said and done, I was left in my hand with $700 as a pocket money to go to India. So I moved to India with the whole connections God gave to me. I was able to travel to India. I arrived in India in November 28, 1998. I arrived in Bombay, which is also called Mumbai. So when I got to Bombay, I don't know nobody. I have no idea where to start from. So I took a hotel for 2 days. And after I took a hotel for 2 days, and God put in my mind to go to Hyderabad. I was once, long time ago, communicating with missionaries over there through mailing system, through letters. But I decided, look at their magazine, I decided to go there and see what is going on. And luckily for me, I came just right in time. And when I got there, they were doing conferences so that they would send missionaries throughout India to preach the gospel. And they told the international coordinator, the one in charge of everyone, that somebody from Nigeria came to do mission with them, and he has only $700 in his pocket. And he told them to tell me to send me home. And his name is Joseph D'Souza. And he told them to send me home because I have no money to do mission in India. But there was another man that God used miraculously. He was the district area director in those areas. His name is Shankar. And God spoke to him to put me in the team, in the mission team. So no matter what anybody say about sending me back, he refused. So he put me along with the missionaries that are from South Africa, Singapore, and locals which are from India. So we were given a bus. In this bus, it opens at the back, opens like a platform where we can open it and preach the gospel. And I went with this missionary team, and I was the only preacher that was called in that place. The rest were just there to do mission or to experience what mission is. So we drive these buses from one village to another, one city to another, one town to another. And we come to big marketplaces. Then they will open the back of the truck and I will preach, and a lot of people were coming to Christ. We had a lot of New Testament Bible and Christian literatures that were given to them. So a lot of people came to Christ, and I was able to visit many villages and many towns and many cities in India. So after a few weeks of doing that, God spoke to me to go to a place called Kerala. Then I went to Kerala. The night I went to Kerala, the Hindu government called PJP invaded the place we were, trying to get the missionaries that were preaching to people and bringing them to Christ. By then I was gone, and the whole mission team, they all scattered. So while in Kerala, I went to crusade in a place owned by Dr. Tombi. And after the crusade few days, God led me to go to Bangalore City to join the missionaries that were there. So right in Bangalore City, they were so afraid that I'm going to get hurt by the Hindus, because it was around this time that a missionary from Australia called Stain was killed and burnt alive with his son in their car. So then they told me to stop preaching because missionaries were being killed. It was then God put in my heart to go to a different level, because every missionary that was working with me have scattered. Some have gone back to their country and nothing was working for them. Then God told me to internetwork with churches and start preaching in crusade and revival meetings. So right there, I started internetworking with churches, and I started preaching in a lot of crusade, a lot of revival meetings, and doors were open. Incredible doors were open in the land of India. I ministered in so many places, in so many cities, in so many villages and towns, and God was wrought miracles and things were happening. So God used me throughout India. I was able to visit over 120 villages, cities, and towns in India. I have met with many people. I have with many languages, and not only people with many languages. Many of them have many cultures, many caste systems, many different beliefs. India has over 33 million gods they worship, and have been exposed to many of them who are exposed or who are worshippers of these different deities. And God have used me not only to preach the gospel to them, but also to bring many of them to the kingdom of God. And from India, I was there from 19 1998, November 28 to around August 2000. I have been to many cities in India. I have been to Madras, which is Chennai. I have been to New Delhi. I have been to Hyderabad and Secunderabad. I have been to Mangalore and Bangalore. I have been to Chandigarh. I have been to Kottayam, Kerala. I have been to Kolkata. I have been to so many places that I cannot even begin to name the whole places that I have been. And from there, God took me to South Korea. Before going to South Korea, I transited in 3 different places. I transited in Bangladesh, and right in Bangladesh, I was in 5 hours transit. And I talked to the immigration officers because I have no visa to go to Bangladesh. And they look at me, and God touched the man. He gave me a visa on arrival on a passport that required visa from the embassy, but I got it on arrival, and they organized transportation for me and a hotel for me, and I was in Bangladesh. And right from the time I was coming out from the airport, there were beggars all over, from the airport down to many kilometers, or let's say close to a mile. There was beggar everywhere. The place, you can see, was stricken by poverty. And I went to my hotel room and I prayed. And after praying, I slept, I relaxed, and had a little bit of rest. And they were able to bring me back to the airport. But however, I noticed the people of Bangladesh were very nice. They were very kind-hearted people. They were people that are full of smile and believe in other people. And from Bangladesh, I flew to Sri Lanka. And when I got to Sri Lanka, it was exactly similar to Bangladesh, but however, Sri Lanka was much more organized, beautiful. They have one of the best airlines I've ever seen, because I took Sri Lanka Airlines straight to to Malaysia, where I transited back to before I went to South Korea. When I got to South Korea, it was totally different. I don't know nobody. I do not have no friends, nothing, nowhere to go. Right from the airport, things were very difficult. By the time I finally made it from the airport into the city, it was very difficult, it was very dark. So I went and took a hotel in South Korea. From there, I started trying to get my way around to see the nation of South Korea. So from there, I was able to apply for a job. I got a job. I was working for different companies. And one of the companies I worked for in South Korea was a textile company where they dye clothing. After dyeing the clothing, they dye it different colors of how the clothing will be. And from there, they transport the clothing to different countries. I worked there for many months. I was there for actually 2 months. And I was being paid 1,000 won a month, which equals to $1,000. But however, so there are some months that the owners won't be able to pay the workers. So we were there without being paid. We were there without having our money. In South Korea, they only paid once a month. So you have to come up with expenses for living until you get paid. So I work for not only the textile company, I work for phone company where we manufacture a phone, the hand phone. I work for different companies, like clothing company where we sort out clothes that go to different places. So I was able to save a little bit of money, and I was able to preach the gospel in South Korea. I live in different places. I live in a place called Haktam. Haktam is a little bit like 45 minutes close to Ujambu. Ujambu is where U.S. military bases were located. From Ujambu, I've been to Incheon. I've been to so many places. in South Korea. I traveled around the whole South Korea. I preached the gospel and I worked to support myself. But however, it was December of 2000, if I'm not mistaken. The cold over there was too much. South Korea was very cold. It was very, very cold. That was the first time I was exposed to cold weather. So I could not stand to live in South Korea because the weather was too harsh for my body. So I tried to move back to Malaysia. So on getting to Malaysia Embassy in South Korea, I tried to obtain a visa to go back to Malaysia. And the lady that was there refused me visa. She said because I'm not a South Korea resident, she cannot give me a visa. So things were very difficult. So then as we were talking together, the Malaysian High Commissioner was passing by and he stopped and looked at me and said, "Young man, what can I do for you? How can I help you?" I said I was trying to get a visa to go to Malaysia because I transited from Malaysia, and this young lady did not want to give me visa. And the man said, "Can I see your passport?" I said, "Yes, sir." I gave my passport to him and he looked at my passport and he said to the young man, to the receptionist, "Give him a visa." God worked so mysteriously that the High Commissioner of Malaysia ordered the woman to give me a visa. So then I got the visa and moved to Malaysia. When I got to Malaysia, it was all the same. I don't know anybody. So I got to Malaysia in December. So finally I was introduced to a church. It's called Malaysia International Christian Fellowship. And their pastor was gone. They have no pastor. It was the right time and God led me there. The church was falling apart. And I became the pastor of the church. I started pastoring in Malaysia. And not only pastoring, I became a student. I was going to a school called Goon Institute where I was learning computer stuff. And I was traveling all over Malaysia, all over Kuala Lumpur, all over Ipoh. I went to Penang, I went to Kotobaro, I went to Johor Bahru, I went to Subang Jaya, I went to Kachin, Petaling Jaya, Taipei, Cebu, and many other places, taking the gospel to all these places. I ministered in so many Full Gospel Businessmen's Fellowship and so many churches. And God was with me and God blessed me. Malaysia is a very, very beautiful country. I have been able to see the entire nation and I was blessed to see these places. Malaysia has beautiful people and it's made up majority of Chinese. It's made up of Malays and also Indians. And many others are just minorities. And Malaysia has a lot of foreigners that comes there, mostly from Africa. I was also able to minister to people from different parts of African nations. I made many friends in Malaysia. I stayed in Malaysia for 1 year, and from there I was going to Singapore. I have visited Malaysia. I've been in and out of Malaysia for more than 24 times. Then from there, I was going in and out of Singapore for more than 25 times as well. And in Singapore, God led me. I was able to minister to many people in Singapore. Chinese, Malays, and also Indians and many others. Singapore has so many beautiful places to visit. I have visited so many places in Singapore and so many things in Singapore I have seen. I have seen so many beautiful things that country has produced. Singapore is mainly made of population high Chinese, Malays, and also Indians. Singapore is a very, very beautiful country, which I was so blessed as well to be able to visit. So from 2000 to 2001 ending, I was able to visit and live in South Korea, in Malaysia, and also in Singapore. I have faced so many challenges. And also I have seen so many people help me while I was there. They have beautiful culture, they have beautiful food, they have a lot of beautiful things in those areas. And from those areas as well, I was able to visit Thailand 3 times. I was in Thailand for three different times. And not only that, I stayed in Thailand for 1 full month. In 2013, I was invited to Singapore to have a meeting, a crusade meeting. So while I was going to Singapore, I was able to transit first to Hong Kong. And the place I transited was called Tung Chon. So when I got to Tung Chon, I went through the immigration and they asked me how long do I intend to stay in Hong Kong. I told them I'm there just for 5-6 hours. I was given a 3-month visa to be able to go in Hong Kong. So from Hong Kong airport, the nearest city was called Tung Chung, which is about 15 minutes from the airport. So because I have only 5-6 hours to stay in Hong Kong, I decided I'm going to go to Tung Chung. So I went to Tung Chung, which is one of the most recent developing towns or island in Hong Kong. It was previously known as a fishing village. So my intention was to see this fishing village, this beautiful city that has been transformed from fishing village to a big mega city. Tung Chung is also, being a part of Hong Kong, is also known as part of China. So it has one of the most beautiful shopping centers. So when I took a bus to Tung Chung, I went to their shopping centers. And I was able to see a lot of stuff in Tung Chung in their shopping center. I noticed that their shopping center has so much stuff for people to come in, mostly tourism. Lot of tourists in those areas to come in and shop. And many people, not only shopping, they end up being broke if you don't have self-discipline while shopping. So they have so much beautiful shopping mall. They have so much beautiful attractions. And when I got to Tung Chung, I was able to visit many places, and also I was able to visit many beautiful mountains, beautiful views, beautiful oceans in that place. I was able to try my best to see as much as I can see. Tung Chung is predominantly Chinese people. And this place was very safe when I went there. The bus system, the transportation system, the whole setup was very safe. Remember, I was only there for 5 hours. I was only there to see as much as I could. So after 3-4 hours of visiting Tung Chung, I decided to go back to the airport, where I made my way to Japan. So I flew to Japan, and I was in Narita, Japan, and I was there for only a few hours as well, which I made my way through the immigration, and I was given 3 months visa to stay in Japan, or 3 or 6 months visa to stay in Japan. So, but however, I was only there for 5 hours. I was able to go into Narita City and see the beautiful city of Narita and see the beautiful things and views in those places. And Narita was a very good place to visit, and I enjoyed everything, their food. I enjoyed a lot of stuff. Right from the time I exited from the airport in Narita, I was stopped by a TV station who was so intrigued and so much into my African wear dress. And they loved my African dress. And they were interviewing me what country I came from, how I got my beautiful dress, how they love it, and how they want to station me on their TV channel, which I was stationed on one of the local TV channel in Japan, in Narita, because of my beautiful dress. So the people were so nice to me. The people were so friendly, and I enjoyed being there. I enjoyed their food. I enjoyed seeing a lot of stuff. And after that, I was able to finally come back to the airport, where I flew to Singapore for my program that I had in 2013, June 30th, 2013. May the Lord bless you all. May the Lord guide you. Until next time, I'll be talking about my trip to Europe. Stay blessed.